The champagne fountain sparkled under crystal chandeliers, throwing soft gold across 200 faces I didn't trust. My retirement party. 42 years building a motorcycle parts empire, and tonight marked the end, sold for $42 million. Every handshake felt rehearsed. Every congratulation tasted hollow. I stood near the bar, nursing ginger ale in a champagne flute. Clara beside me, elegant in navy blue, her hand resting lightly on my arm. She always knew when I needed grounding. "You look tense," she murmured. "Just observing." "Observing what?" "Vultures circling." She smiled slightly. Clara understood. 25 years of marriage taught us a language without words. Across the hall, my daughter Eden laughed at something her husband said. 21 years old, brilliant in so many ways, blind in others. She wore happiness like armor, protecting herself from truth she wasn't ready to see. Troy Renwick stood beside her, 27 and insufferable, his arm possessive around her waist. Everything about him screamed entitlement. The way he held his chin, the dismissive glances he threw at anyone he considered beneath him, the practiced charm that fooled everyone except Clara and me. Troy had been furious when I announced the sale 3 months ago. He'd cornered me in my office, demanding to know why I hadn't consulted him first, as if marrying my daughter automatically granted him voting rights over my life's work. Before we continue, we ask you to hit the hype button, subscribe, and like the video to help the channel grow. Tell us which city you are from in the comments. We would like to get to know our audience better. "This should have been mine to run," he'd said, voice tight with barely controlled rage. "You're throwing away our future." Our future, not Eden's, ours. I'd told him the company was sold, the decision final, and he could either accept it gracefully or show everyone who he really was. He'd chosen a third option, plotting. Now, watching him navigate the party like he owned the room, I felt that familiar tightness between my shoulder blades. Old motorcycle injury from my 20s. It flared up when danger approached. Troy separated from Eden, heading toward the bar. His mother, Laurel Renwick, materialized beside him. 53 years of calculated elegance wrapped in designer silk. She whispered something in his ear. He nodded. They approached me together, synchronized predators. "Harlan," Laurel said, her smile sharp enough to cut glass. "Such a magnificent celebration. You must be so proud." "I am. And so generous, sharing your success with everyone here." Her eyes glittered. "Family especially." Clara's grip on my arm tightened fractionally. Troy stepped closer. "We should talk soon about investment opportunities. Now that you have liquidity, there are some ventures that could really benefit from your capital." "I'm retired, Troy." "Retired from operations, sure. But wealth management, strategic partnerships, those never retire." His smile didn't reach his eyes. "We're family. We should build together." There it was. The ask. The expectation. The assumption that $42 million belonged to anyone married into the Kerrin name. "I'll think about it," I said, which meant no. Troy's jaw tightened. Laurel's smile froze. "Don't think too long," Troy said quietly. "Opportunities have expiration dates." They drifted away, leaving threats hanging in expensive cologne and perfume. "Well," Clara said softly, "that was charming." "They're getting desperate." "Desperate people do stupid things." I glanced at her. "You think they'll try something?" "I think they already have." Before I could ask what she meant, Eden appeared at my elbow, radiant and oblivious. "Dad, people want to hear your speech." I let her guide me toward the small stage at the hall's front. The crowd gathered, champagne glasses raised. I took the microphone, scanning faces. Some genuine, some plastic, some calculating future angles. Troy stood near the back, watching me with an expression I couldn't quite read. I gave my speech, thanked the right people, made the expected jokes, kept it brief. The crowd applauded. Someone shouted for a toast. Servers circulated with fresh champagne flutes on silver trays. I accepted one, holding it up. That's when I saw it. Troy, moving through the crowd with deliberate casualness. His hand dipped into his jacket pocket. He lifted his champagne glass from a passing tray, and in one smooth motion, practiced, quick, almost invisible, he dropped something small into the drink. A tiny white tablet dissolved instantly. My entire body went cold. He turned, scanning the room, looking for me. Our eyes met across 30 feet of luxury and lies. He smiled. I didn't. The crowd pressed closer for the toast. Troy began moving in my direction, glass in hand. Every instinct screamed at me to throw him through a window, but Eden stood 5 feet away, watching her father with pride and love. I couldn't let her see what her husband really was. Not yet. Not like this. Troy reached me, extending his glass for the traditional clink. To your retirement, Harlan. May you enjoy every moment you have left. The emphasis on left wasn't subtle. I looked at the glass in his hand. Clear liquid, perfect bubbles, something dissolving at the bottom that nobody else could see. Then I looked at Laurel, hovering nearby, her expression eager. Actually, I said loudly, gesturing to a photographer, let's get a family photo first. Eden, Troy, Laurel, come here. They clustered around me. The photographer positioned everyone, adjusting angles. I used the chaos to execute the simplest magic trick: misdirection. While everyone looked at the camera, I swapped my glass with Troy's. Easy. Effortless. 42 years in business taught you how to handle snakes. Smile, the photographer called. We smiled. Flash. Beautiful. Now let's do the toast. We raised our glasses. Troy lifted his, my original untainted glass, and drank without hesitation. I lifted mine, his poisoned offering, and pretended to sip while my mind raced through implications. Laurel grabbed the glass from my hand with surprising force. Let me make this toast properly, she announced, voice carrying across the hall. To Harlan Kerrin, who built an empire and now passes the torch to the next generation. She drank deeply. Troy's face went white. I watched him realize what I'd done. Watched him understand that I'd seen everything. Watched him calculate his next move. 10 minutes later, Laurel collapsed. The champagne glass shattered on marble floor. People screamed. Eden rushed to Laurel's side, crying her name. Troy stood frozen, staring at his mother's convulsing body with an expression of pure horror. Someone called for paramedics. I stood perfectly still, watching the chaos unfold. Clara appeared beside me. Harlan? I'm fine. What happened? Justice, maybe? The paramedics arrived fast. They loaded Laurel onto a stretcher, checking vitals, asking questions nobody could answer. Troy rode with them, his face gray, his hands shaking. Eden grabbed my arm, tears streaming. Dad, what happened? What's wrong with her? I don't know, sweetheart. But I did know. And as the ambulance pulled away, sirens wailing into the night, I felt no guilt whatsoever. The house was silent when we arrived home. Clara kicked off her heels in the entryway, and I loosened my tie, both of us moving through familiar routines while processing unfamiliar horrors. You saw him do it, Clara said. Not a question. Yes. And you switched the glasses. Yes. She nodded slowly, walking to the kitchen. I followed. She poured 2 fingers of whiskey, the good stuff, 18-year Macallan, and slid 1 glass toward me. Tell me everything. So I did. Every detail. The pocket, the tablet, the dissolve. The practiced smoothness that suggested this wasn't improvisation, but planned execution. Clara listened without interruption, her analytical mind processing each piece of information with surgical precision. She'd been my partner in business for years before we had Eden, running operations while I handled acquisitions. She knew how to read people, how to spot patterns, how to see 3 moves ahead. He meant to poison you, she said finally. Yes. At your own retirement party. Poetic in a psychotic way. Not poetic, practical. Clara swirled her whiskey thoughtfully. Public place. Lots of people. Easy to claim you had a heart attack or stroke. You're 52, you've been under stress with the sale, you have that shoulder injury that flares up. Nobody would question it. Except you. Except me. She smiled grimly. And now his mother gets whatever he planned for you. Karma's efficient tonight. My phone buzzed. Text message from a number I recognized. Marcus, an old friend who'd attended the party. He'd started as my delivery driver 30 years ago, worked his way up to regional manager, retired wealthy. We'd stayed close. The message was a screenshot. Group chat from 2 weeks ago, Troy talking to someone named Derek. Troy. Once the old man's weakened, we'll guide the money where it belongs, with us. He's stubborn, but he won't last forever. Time works for us. Derek. What if he doesn't cooperate? Troy. Everyone cooperates eventually. You just need the right pressure points. I showed Clara. Her expression hardened. He's been planning this. For months, probably. Does Eden know? No. I was certain of that. Eden had her mother's intelligence and my stubbornness, but she'd inherited neither of our cynicism. She saw the world as it should be, not as it was. It made her beautiful and vulnerable in equal measure. My phone rang. Eden. I answered. Sweetheart. Dad. Her voice cracked. They're saying she was poisoned. The doctors are saying someone poisoned her. Silence stretched between us. Who would do that? Eden whispered. Who would hurt Laurel? I thought about telling her the truth right then. Thought about explaining exactly what her husband had attempted and how cosmic irony had redirected his malice. But Clara was already shaking her head, reading my intentions. Not yet. Not over the phone. Not while she was standing in a hospital corridor, surrounded by Troy's lies. I don't know, I said. Are you safe? Yes. Troy's with me. He's devastated. I bet he was. Go home when you can. Get some rest. We'll figure this out. Okay, she sniffled. Dad? I'm scared. I know, but you're strong. You're a Kerrin. We don't break easily. That made her laugh weakly. I love you. Love you too, sweetheart. I hung up. Clara was already at her laptop, typing rapidly. What are you doing? Research. If Troy tried this once, he's left footprints elsewhere. Like what? Like the pressure he's been putting on Eden, like the messages he's been sending, like the company he's been keeping. Her fingers flew across the keyboard. You focus on the physical evidence. I'll handle the digital trail. You sound like you're building a case. I am, just not the legal kind. I understood. The legal system moved slowly, required proof beyond reasonable doubt, protected the guilty as often as the innocent. We weren't interested in legal justice. We were interested in truth, exposure, and consequences. I went upstairs to my office. The room smelled like leather and old paper, comfortable, familiar, mine. I unlocked the filing cabinet where I kept personal documents separate from business records. Eden's life in folders, birth certificate, school awards, college acceptance letters, wedding announcements, and underneath, the folder I'd started 6 months ago when Troy's mask first slipped. I'd been meticulous. Every concerning conversation, logged and dated, every suspicious request, documented, every red flag, noted. I wasn't paranoid, I was experienced. 42 years in business taught you that people revealed themselves eventually. You just had to pay attention. The folder was thicker than I'd realized. January. Troy asking why Eden wasn't on the company board. February. Troy suggesting I make Eden a primary beneficiary in my will. March. Troy inquiring about my retirement timeline. April. Troy proposing a family investment fund that he would manage. May. The confrontation about selling the company. June. Troy's increasingly aggressive hints about rightful inheritance. July. Tonight. Each incident alone seemed minor. Together, they painted a portrait of escalating entitlement and desperation. I spread the documents across my desk, creating a timeline. Clara appeared in the doorway with her laptop. Find anything? I asked. More than I expected. Come look. I joined her, reading over her shoulder. She'd accessed Eden's cloud storage, not hacking, just using the family account we'd all shared for years. Eden had never changed her passwords. Messages between Troy and his mother filled the screen. Laurel. Have you convinced her to talk to Harlan about signing over power of attorney? Troy. Working on it. She's resistant. Says it's insulting. Laurel. Tell her it's for convenience, legal protection. Make it sound caring. Troy. She trusts her father too much. Laurel. Then we make him untrustworthy, plant doubts, suggest cognitive decline, say you're worried about his judgment. Troy. That's genius. Laurel. That's strategy, darling. Always think 3 moves ahead. Clara scrolled down. More messages, weeks of manipulation compressed into digital evidence. Troy. He won't even discuss investment opportunities. Acts like I'm beneath him. Laurel. You married his daughter. You're entitled to consideration. Troy. More than consideration. That company should have been mine. I could have tripled its value. Laurel. Some men can't see potential. They hoard power until they lose everything. Troy. Maybe he needs to lose something to understand what's at stake. That message was dated 3 days ago. He was planning this all week, Clara said quietly. Probably longer. What are you going to do? I looked at the evidence spread across 2 devices. The messages, the timeline, the screenshot from Marcus, the poisoning that backfired. Everything pointed to one conclusion. Troy Renwick was dangerous, desperate, and willing to harm people to get what he wanted. But he'd made one critical mistake. He'd threatened my family. I'm going to teach him why you don't come after a Kerrin. Clara smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. I was hoping you'd say that. Morning arrived gray and cold. I slept 3 hours, maybe less. Clara was already awake when I found her in the kitchen. Coffee brewing, laptop open. that focused expression she wore when solving complex problems. "Hospital called," she said without looking up. "Laurel's stable. Sedated, but stable." "What did they say it was?" "Acute toxicity. Unknown substance. They're running tests." She glanced at me. "Police might get involved." "Let them." "You're not concerned?" "About what?" "I didn't poison anyone. Troy did. The fact that his mother drank it instead of me is just unfortunate timing." Clara's lips quirked. "Unfortunate?" "For them." My phone rang. "Troy." Clara nodded encouragement. I answered, putting it on speaker. "Harlan." Troy's voice was rough, exhausted. "We need to talk." "About what?" "About what happened last night. About who might have done this." Interesting angle. Playing victim and investigator simultaneously. "Do you have theories?" I asked. "Some." Pause. "Can we meet?" "Just us. Man to man." "When?" "This afternoon. My shop on Sullivan Street. You know the one." I knew it. Troy owned 3 auto repair shops, investments funded by his mother's money and delusions of entrepreneurship. The Sullivan Street location was his largest, mostly empty, technically profitable, only because Laurel covered the overhead. "What time?" 3 o'clock. Come alone." He hung up. Clara and I looked at each other. "That's a trap," she said. "Obviously." "You're going anyway." "Obviously." "At least take your phone. Keep the line open so I can hear." "Deal." I spent the morning getting ready. Not gear. I wasn't planning any physical confrontation. Instead, knowledge, evidence, strategy. I went over everything Clara had uncovered, memorized key messages, and prepared for the conversation ahead. At 2:30, I drove to Sullivan Street. The shop sat in an industrial area, surrounded by warehouses and empty lots. Troy's white luxury sedan was parked out front, along with a black truck I didn't recognize. I parked beside them and checked my phone. Message from Clara. "Line is open. Recording. Be careful." The shop's main bay was open. I walked in, letting my eyes adjust to the dim interior. 3 repair lifts, tool chests, parts scattered across workbenches. The smell of motor oil and metal. Troy emerged from a back office, followed by 2 men I'd never seen before. Big guys, mid-30s, wearing shop uniforms that didn't quite fit right. Hired muscle trying to look like mechanics. "Harlan, thanks for coming." Troy's smile was thin, brittle. He looked terrible. Eyes bloodshot, skin pale, movements jerky with stress or stimulants. "You said we needed to talk." "We do." He gestured to the 2 men. "This is Derek and Mitchell. They work for me." "Doing what?" "Security, consultations, whatever needs doing." The threat was explicit. I ignored it. "Your mother," I said. "How is she?" Troy's expression flickered. Guilt, anger, something else I couldn't identify. "She'll survive. No thanks to whoever poisoned her." "Do they know what it was?" "Not yet, but they will, and when they do, there will be consequences." "I'm sure." We stood in the center of the shop, facing each other across 15 feet of concrete. The 2 hired men positioned themselves on either side, blocking exits. Classic intimidation setup. Troy stepped closer. "Here's what I think happened last night. I think someone saw an opportunity. Crowded party, distracted security, chance to eliminate a problem." "What problem?" "You." He said it flatly. "You're the problem, Harlan. You sold the company without consulting family. You're sitting on $42 million that should be working for all of us. You're a bottleneck." "That's an interesting perspective. It's the truth, and someone decided to do something about it. Someone put something in a drink meant for you." "How do you know it was meant for me?" He blinked. "What?" "How do you know the poisoned drink was meant for me and not your mother?" "Because—" He stopped, realizing the trap. If he explained how he knew, he'd confess to the poisoning. If he didn't explain, his whole theory collapsed. I smiled. "Go ahead. Tell me how you know." Troy's face flushed red. "You switched the glasses." "Did I?" "I saw you." "Then you were watching very carefully, almost like you knew something was going to happen." The 2 hired men shifted uncomfortably. This wasn't going the way Troy planned. "I think," Troy said slowly, "you need to start taking me seriously." "I've always taken you seriously, Troy. That's the problem. I see exactly who you are," he snapped. "You see nothing. You're a stubborn old man who refuses to acknowledge that times change. That company should have been mine to run. That money should be working for the family, not sitting in your account gathering dust. It's my money. It's our money. I married into this family. I have rights." "You have delusions." Derek stepped forward. So did Mitchell. They flanked me now, close enough to strike if Troy gave the signal. Last chance, Troy said. We can work together, or we can work against each other. Your choice. I looked at him, at his desperation, his entitlement, his fundamental inability to understand that actions have consequences. He'd tried to eliminate me, accidentally poisoned his mother, and now stood in an empty shop with hired thugs, threatening the man who'd built everything he coveted. He was pathetic, but dangerous. Here's my choice, I said. Get out of my way. Troy laughed. Or what? Or I'll move you. Derek reached for my shoulder. I stepped back, into the open space beneath a raised vehicle lift. Good position, sight lines, environmental advantages, control. My shoulder throbbed, reminding me I wasn't 25 anymore, couldn't fight 3 men straight up. But I didn't need to fight them. I needed to outthink them. Mitchell came at me from the left. I grabbed a rolling creeper leaning against the tool chest and shoved it into his path. He tripped, sprawled forward, hit the concrete hard. Derek lunged right. I ducked under the car lift, using the suspended vehicle as a barrier. Troy shouted, "Just grab him!" They tried. Derek circled around the lift. Mitchell recovered, limping slightly. They converged, coordinated this time, cutting off angles. I looked up. The lift's pneumatic line hung loose, recently disconnected for maintenance. I yanked it. Air hissed out explosively, startling both men. In that half-second of distraction, I moved, not toward them, past them. Grabbed the shop door controller, hit the button. The main bay door rumbled closed, loud and sudden. Troy spun toward the noise. I used that moment to reach the back exit, shouldering it open, stepping into afternoon sunlight. They followed, of course, but by then I was at my car, engine already running, Clara on the phone asking if I was okay. "Fine," I said, pulling away. "But we need to move faster." In my rearview mirror, Troy stood in the shop doorway, rage and frustration written across his face. He shouted something I couldn't hear. I drove away, smiling. He threatened Eden. Clara froze, coffee cup halfway to her lips. "What?" We were home, sitting in the kitchen, my phone between us playing the recording from the shop. She'd listened to the entire confrontation, the threats, how tense it became, my way out. But I'd waited until now to tell her the worst part. After I left, I circled back. Parked down the block, windows cracked. Troy was on his phone, talking to someone. I recorded it. I played the audio. Troy's voice, angry and desperate. "If he won't pay, we take everything from the daughter. Everything. The apartment, the credit cards, the lifestyle she's used to. Let her see what life looks like when Daddy isn't bankrolling it. Maybe that'll motivate him." Silence. Clara set down her coffee carefully, like she was afraid she might throw it. "He's threatening our daughter." "Yes." "Using her as leverage." "Yes." "That's—" She stopped, searching for a word adequate to the moment. Couldn't find one. "That crosses every line." "I know." "We're done being careful, Harlan. This ends. Now." I'd never seen Clara angry like this. She'd been frustrated, annoyed, disappointed, but this was different. This was focused, cold fury, the kind that didn't shout or throw things, the kind that planned. "What are you thinking?" I asked. "I'm thinking Troy and Laurel need to understand who they're dealing with, publicly, irrevocably, in a way they can't deny or spin or escape. You want to expose them. I want to destroy them." She met my eyes. "Not physically, but everything else. Reputation, credibility, standing. I want everyone who matters to see exactly what they are. And I want Eden to finally understand what she married. That'll hurt her. Not as much as staying blind will. Troy's escalating, Harlan. Today it's threats and intimidation. Tomorrow it's actual harm. We need to end this before it gets worse." She was right. Troy had shown he was willing to attempt poisoning, physical aggression, and financial manipulation. Each setback made him more frantic, more unpredictable. We couldn't just react. We needed to bring this to a decisive end. "What's your plan?" I asked. Clara smiled. Not the warm smile I'd fallen in love with 25 years ago, but the sharp, calculating smile she wore when closing difficult business deals. "We're going to give Troy and Laurel exactly what they want, a public meeting about money and family, and we're going to make sure everyone hears exactly what they've been planning." "Where?" "The same banquet hall, same room. We have it on reserve for Eden's birthday next month. We'll move it up, tell Troy it's a family meeting about estate planning. He'll suspect a trap. Of course he will. But his greed will override his caution. He can't resist the possibility of getting what he wants." "And Eden?" Clara's expression softened fractionally. "We tell her we're planning a surprise event. Ask her to come early, stay hidden until we call her. She trusts us. She'll do it." Then what? Then we play every recording, show every message, expose every lie, in front of Eden, in front of Troy, in front of Laurel. No more secrets, no more manipulation. Just truth. It was brutal, necessary, perfect. When? I asked. 3 days. That gives us time to prepare everything, set up equipment, make sure we have all the evidence organized. Troy will bring backup again. So will we. Marcus, if he's willing, maybe some others from the old company who remember what loyalty means. I nodded slowly, pieces falling into place. What about police? If we're admitting Troy poisoned Laurel? We're not admitting anything. We're asking questions, playing recordings, letting Troy incriminate himself in his own words, in front of witnesses. If he confesses, that's his choice. If he doesn't, everyone still knows the truth. You've thought this through. I've thought about nothing else since last night. Clara leaned forward. I protected this family for 25 years. I won't let some entitled coward tear it apart because he married our daughter. We spent the next 3 days preparing. Clara handled logistics, booking the hall, setting up audio equipment, organizing recordings into a damning timeline. I handled security, calling people I trusted, explaining the situation without revealing everything. Marcus agreed immediately. Always knew that guy was trash. Happy to help. Eden called twice, confused about why we'd moved her birthday event up 3 weeks. We told her it was scheduling. The hall had a cancellation. Better to grab the date. She accepted the explanation because she had no reason not to. That hurt more than I expected. On the morning of the 3rd day, I stood in the empty banquet hall, testing the sound system. The room looked different without crowds. Bigger, colder, more like a courtroom than a celebration space. Clara appeared with a laptop bag and determination. All set? Almost. Where's Eden? Coming in an hour. I told her we needed help setting up. She thinks it's a surprise party. It is, just not the kind she expects. Harlan. Clara touched my arm. She'll be okay. She's strong. I know, but finding out your husband tried to poison your father will hurt, badly, but living with a man like Troy will hurt worse. We're doing this for her. We were. I had to believe that. Marcus arrived with 2 friends, former employees, good people, loyal to a fault. They positioned themselves around the hall, casual but alert. Eden came next, bright-eyed and smiling, carrying boxes of decorations she thought we'd need. Dad, you didn't tell me this was going to be fancy. Only the best for you, sweetheart. She hugged me, and I held her tighter than usual. Clara caught my eye over Eden's shoulder, nodded slightly. Actually, Clara said, we need you to wait in the side room for a bit. Some vendors are coming to set up, and it'll be easier if you're not in the way. Vendors? For my birthday? Surprise vendors. Trust us. Eden laughed. You two are so secretive. Fine, I'll hide. She headed toward the small office adjacent to the main hall, still smiling, still oblivious. The door closed behind her. Clara locked it from the outside. 30 minutes later, Troy's white sedan pulled into the parking lot. He emerged slowly, suspiciously, scanning the area. He'd brought Derek again, plus Mitchell, both looking more nervous than threatening in broad daylight. Laurel arrived separately, moving carefully, still weak from the poisoning. She wore expensive sunglasses and a designer scarf, armor against vulnerability. They entered together, mother, son, hired muscle. I stood in the center of the room, waiting. Troy stopped when he saw me. What is this? A conversation. You said estate planning. I lied. Something you're familiar with. His jaw tightened. Laurel stepped forward, imperious despite her weakness. If you brought us here to threaten us. No threats, Clara said, emerging from the control booth. Just clarity. Troy's eyes narrowed. Where's Eden? Safe, which is more than you can say. What's that supposed to mean? Instead of answering, Clara pressed play. The sound system crackled to life. Troy's voice filled the hall, recorded from 2 weeks ago. Once the old man's weakened, we'll guide the money where it belongs. With us. Troy went pale. Where did you... Clara played another recording, Laurel this time. Make him untrustworthy. Plant doubts. Suggest cognitive decline. Then another. Troy again? He won't even discuss investment opportunities. Acts like I'm beneath him. And another. That company should have been mine. I could have tripled its value. The recordings kept coming, each one more damning than the last, each one exposing manipulation, entitlement, planning. Troy's face cycled through emotions: shock, anger, fear, calculation. Laurel simply stood frozen. Marcus and his friends moved subtly closer, forming a loose perimeter. How did you get those? Troy demanded. From Eden's cloud storage, the account you used to send messages to your mother, messages where you plotted against my family. That's illegal. Actually, it's not. Family account, shared access, all above board, but I love that legality is your concern right now. Clara played the final recording, Troy's voice from 3 days ago. If he won't pay, we take everything from the daughter. Everything. In the side office, through the locked door, I heard Eden gasp. Troy heard it too. His eyes widened. Eden! Eden! He started toward the door. Marcus blocked his path. You're done moving, Marcus said quietly. Get out of my way. Make me. Derek and Mitchell stepped forward. So did Marcus's friends. The hall suddenly felt smaller, tenser, ready to explode. Everybody calm down, I said. Nobody's here to fight. We're here for truth. Truth? Troy laughed bitterly. You recorded private conversations. You manipulated. I recorded confessions. There's a difference. Clara played one more audio file. The shortest, worst one. Troy at the hospital talking to someone. It wasn't supposed to happen to her. It was supposed to be him. Silence. Laurel made a small, broken sound. Troy's face drained of all color. That's not... I didn't what? I asked. Didn't try to poison me? Didn't plan this for months? Didn't threaten my daughter when I didn't give you what you wanted? You don't understand. I understand perfectly. You married Eden thinking you'd get access to money and power. When that didn't materialize fast enough, you decided to accelerate the timeline. Weaken me, manipulate Eden, take what you felt entitled to. I deserved that company. You deserved nothing. The shout echoed off the walls. Troy flinched. I stepped closer, voice dropping to something colder than anger. You were given a gift, a wife who loved you, a family that welcomed you, opportunities you hadn't earned, and you threw it away because you couldn't stand not being in control, because you're so fundamentally insecure that my success felt like your failure. That's not... It's exactly true, and now everyone knows it. The door to the side office opened. Eden stepped out. She looked destroyed, eyes red, face pale, hands shaking. She stared at Troy like she'd never seen him before. Eden. Troy started toward her. Don't. Her voice cracked. Don't come near me. Baby, I can explain. Explain what? That you tried to poison my father. That you used me, that you... She couldn't finish, couldn't breathe. Clara moved to Eden's side, supporting her. Mother and daughter, united against the man who'd betrayed them both. Troy looked around the room, at me, at Clara, at Eden, at the witnesses, at the evidence he couldn't deny. This is entrapment, he said desperately. This is consequences, I replied. He lunged at me then, all pretense of control gone, pure rage and humiliation launching him forward. Derek moved too, and Mitchell, their loyalty to Troy overriding common sense. But Marcus was faster, so were his friends. They stepped in, bodies bumping, voices rising. The hall burst into controlled disorder. Not an actual fight, but the stopping of one. Pushing, pulling, steering the aggression before it could connect. I stayed perfectly still, watching Troy struggle against men stronger and smarter than him. He screamed frustration, incoherent rage, accusations that meant nothing. Nobody cared. Finally, exhausted, he went limp. Marcus held him easily, one arm across his chest, a father controlling a tantruming child. Done? Marcus asked. Troy didn't answer. I'll take that as yes. Clara helped Eden to a chair. Laurel still stood frozen, watching her son's complete collapse with something like horror. I walked to where Troy hung in Marcus's grip, meeting his eyes. You wanted my legacy, I said quietly. Here it is. Consequences. Then I played the recording one last time. The hospital confession. Troy admitting he'd poisoned the drink. Eden gasped again, fresh tears falling. Troy's face drained of the last bit of color. I stepped back, letting the truth hang in the air like smoke from a fire that couldn't be extinguished. The following silence stretched thin and dangerous. Troy sagged in Marcus's grip, all the fight gone out of him, replaced by something worse, the dawning comprehension of complete defeat. Let him go, I said. Marcus released him. Troy stumbled, caught himself against a table, breathing hard. Eden, he said hoarsely. Please, let me... Stop talking. Eden's voice was hollow. Just stop. But I love you. You poisoned my father. It wasn't... He couldn't finish. Couldn't construct a lie that would work. For once in his life, Troy Renwick had no escape route. Clara kept one arm around Eden, protective and fierce. I think it's time you left, Troy. This is my wife. I'm not leaving without... Your wife just heard you admit to an attempted serious act against someone. You're fortunate we're even allowing you to walk out right now. Laurel finally moved, reaching for her son. Troy, we should go. He shook her off. No, they set this up. They recorded the truth, Laurel said quietly. Something had broken in her voice, in her posture. The poisoning had been meant for someone else, but the betrayal was all hers to carry. We should go. Mom? Now. She walked toward the exit, moving like someone twice her age. Troy watched her go, then looked back at Eden one last time. My daughter wouldn't meet his eyes. He followed his mother out. Derek and Mitchell went with them, eager to escape, to pretend they'd never been part of this. The door closed. Eden collapsed. Not dramatically, just a slow folding of her body like strings being cut. Clara caught her, lowered her gently to the floor, held her while she sobbed. I stood there watching my daughter's heart break, knowing I'd caused it. Necessary pain, protective pain, but pain nonetheless. Marcus appeared at my shoulder. You okay? Ask me tomorrow. You did the right thing. Did I? He looked at Eden, then back at me. Oh, he tried to poison you, Harlan. He was escalating. This ends cleaner than most alternatives. Doesn't feel clean. Never does. He squeezed my shoulder once, then gestured to his friends. They left quietly, giving our family privacy. I knelt beside Eden and Clara. Sweetheart. Eden looked up at me, face streaked with tears. You knew. You knew, and you didn't tell me. I wanted to be wrong. But you weren't. No. She started crying again, harder this time. Clara and I held her together, our daughter caught between us, safe but devastated. After a long time, Eden's sobs quieted. She sat up, wiping her face with shaking hands. What happens now? She asked. Now, Clara said gently, we take care of you. I married a monster. You married a liar. There's a difference, and you'll recover. How? The same way you recover from anything, one day at a time, with people who actually love you. Eden looked at me. He really tried to poison you? Yes. At your retirement party? Yes. And his mother got it instead? Cosmic justice. She almost smiled. Almost. That's horrible. It is. I'm glad she survived. Me too. But I'm gladder you did. I pulled her close. Me too, sweetheart. We stayed there for a while, the three of us, in an empty hall that had witnessed the end of a marriage. Outside, the sun was setting, painting the windows gold and orange. Eventually, Eden stood, steadier now, stronger. I need to get my things from the apartment. We'll come with you, Clara said. No, I need to do this myself. But thank you. She kissed us both, then walked toward the exit. At the door, she paused. Dad? Yeah? Thank you for protecting me, even when it hurt. Always, sweetheart. Always. She left. Clara and I sat in the empty hall, exhausted and relieved in equal measure. Think she'll be okay? I asked. Eventually. She's tougher than she knows. Gets it from her mother. Clara smiled. And her father. My phone buzzed. Text from Marcus. Police might be asking questions. Hospital flagged the poisoning. Be ready. I showed Clara. She nodded. We tell them the truth. We have recordings, evidence, witnesses. Troy confessed. Let him deal with his own consequences. What if he tries to claim we forced the confession? Then we play them the recordings, all of them, including the one where he threatens Eden. Let them decide who the victim is. We packed up the equipment, erased the evidence of our setup, restored the hall to neutral anonymity. By the time we finished, night had fallen completely. Driving home, Clara reached over and took my hand. You know this isn't over, she said. I know. Troy's desperate. Desperate people are dangerous. So we stay vigilant. And we finish this. She squeezed my hand. Together. Always. At home, I poured whiskey and reviewed the recordings one more time, making sure we had everything backed up, protected, accessible if needed. Tomorrow, police would come. Lawyers would be called. Charges might be filed. The machinery of justice would grind slowly forward. But tonight, we'd won. Troy and Laurel were exposed. Eden was safe. The truth was undeniable. I raised my glass to the empty room. To consequences, I said quietly, and drank. Morning arrived with police. 2 detectives, a man and woman, mid-40s, professional but curious. They sat in our living room, notebooks open, asking careful questions about the retirement party, the poisoning, the events that followed. I told them everything. Clara filled in gaps. We played selected recordings. Enough to establish Troy's intent, not enough to reveal our full surveillance. The male detective, Henderson, frowned at the audio. "Where did you get these?" "Family cloud account, shared access." "But Mr. Renwick didn't know you could access them?" "He should have. We set up the account 3 years ago. Never changed the passwords." Henderson exchanged glances with his partner, Detective Ruiz. "And you recorded this conversation at his shop?" Ruiz asked. "I recorded myself. He chose to talk." "While threatening you with hired men?" "While attempting intimidation. I documented it for safety." More glances. "Mr. Kerrin," Henderson said slowly, "it sounds like you've been investigating your son-in-law for months." "I've been protecting my family. Troy made threats. I gathered evidence." "Did you consider going to police?" "With what? Suspicions? Bad feelings? You need proof. I got proof." "By potentially entrapping him." "By giving him rope. He hung himself." Ruiz wrote something in her notebook. "Your daughter, Aiden. She heard all this?" Clara nodded. "She deserved to know who she married." "That must have been difficult." "Necessary." They asked more questions. About the company sale, Troy's expectations, the escalating tension, about Laurel's condition, the hospital investigation, the substance used. I answered honestly but carefully. Not hiding, just not volunteering information that might complicate the narrative. Finally, Henderson closed his notebook. "Here's where we are. The hospital confirms Laurel Renwick was poisoned with a sedative compound, the kind used for date rape, actually. Fast-acting, dangerous in concentration. She's lucky she's alive." "And Troy?" I asked. "We'll be talking to him. These recordings help establish motive and intent. But proving he actually administered the substance," he shrugged. "Harder than you'd think. Lots of people at that party. Lots of opportunity." "You have a recording of him admitting it." "We have a recording of him saying it wasn't supposed to happen to her. That's not quite a confession. Good lawyer could argue he meant something else entirely." "You can't be serious." "I'm being realistic, but we'll investigate. And these other allegations, the threats, the attempted coercion, we'll look into all of it." They left with copies of the recordings and promises to follow up. Clara watched them go. They're not going to charge him. Not for the poisoning, too much reasonable doubt. But the threats, maybe. Depends what else they find. So he gets away with it. No, I smiled grimly. He doesn't, because legal consequences aren't the only consequences that matter. Over the next week, word spread. Not from us. We told no one beyond police. But Troy's world was small, interconnected, gossip-prone. People talked, stories circulated. The retirement party poisoning became local legend. And Troy's role in it, whether proven or not, became accepted fact. His auto shop started losing business. Customers didn't want to support someone accused of poisoning family. Suppliers asked questions. Banks got nervous. Laurel recovered physically but retreated socially. Her friends, such as they were, stopped calling. Country club invitations dried up. Her carefully constructed image crumbled under the weight of association. Eden moved home temporarily, dealing with divorce lawyers and emotional recovery. She was quieter now, more guarded, but stronger too. Tested and surviving. One evening, she found me in my office. "Dad? Hey, sweetheart. How are you holding up?" "Better. Therapy helps." She sat across from me. "I wanted to ask you something." "Anything." "Did you know? From the beginning? That Troy was like that?" I considered lying, decided against it. I suspected, had concerns, but hoped I was wrong. "You weren't." "No." "Why didn't you say something earlier?" "Would you have believed me?" She thought about that. "No, probably not. I would have defended him. Thought you were being controlling or judgmental." "Exactly. You needed to discover it yourself. I just helped move the timeline up before he could hurt anyone worse. He hurt you. He tried to poison you. He tried, failed, and in failing, exposed himself completely." "That's not nothing." Eden smiled sadly. "You always have a plan." "Not always, but usually." She stood, kissed my forehead. "Thank you for protecting me even when I was too blind to see I needed protecting. That's what fathers do." After she left, I sat alone, thinking about protection and consequences and the cost of both. My phone rang. Number I didn't recognize. I almost didn't answer. Hello? Heavy breathing. Then, you destroyed my life. Troy. You destroyed your own life, I said calmly. I just documented it. My business is failing. My mother won't talk to me. My wife left. Everything I built? Everything you built on lies and manipulation. That's not a foundation. It's sand. You think you've won. I know I have. This isn't over. Yes, it is. I hung up. Clara appeared in the doorway. Troy? Making threats he can't keep. Should we be worried? No, he's broken. Desperate men threaten, dangerous men act. He doesn't have the courage for action anymore. I was right. Troy disappeared after that call. Left town, according to rumors. Went to stay with relatives somewhere south. His shops closed within months. Laurel moved away too, chasing anonymity. Eden's divorce was finalized without contest. A Troy signed everything, asked for nothing. He had no leverage, no standing, no fight left. 6 months after the retirement party, Eden came home from therapy with a different expression. Not happy exactly, but lighter. I'm okay, she announced. Really okay, for the first time in 2 years. Clara hugged her. We never doubted it. I did. But I'm not angry anymore. Not at myself, at least. I was manipulated by an expert. That's not my fault. It's absolutely not. Eden looked at me. And Dad? Thank you, for being exactly as ruthless as the situation required. I smiled. Anytime, sweetheart. That evening, the three of us had dinner together. Normal conversation, easy laughter. The shadow of Troy Renwick fading with each passing moment. Later, alone with Clara, I stood on our back deck watching stars. You're thinking, she said, joining me. Just reflecting. On? On how close we came. If I hadn't seen him put that substance in the drink. If I hadn't swapped the glasses. If we'd waited even a week longer to confront him. But we didn't. You acted perfectly. This time, barely. She took my hand. This time counts. You protected Eden. You protected us. You didn't let him destroy our family. He tried hard enough. And failed, completely. That's what matters. We stood together under vast darkness, feeling the weight lift. Somewhere, Troy Renwick was living with his consequences. Somewhere, Laurel was realizing how completely she'd raised a monster. Here, we were healing. No regrets? Clara asked. I thought about the confrontation, the recordings, the methodical destruction of a man's reputation and life. None, I said. He earned every bit of what happened. Good, because neither do I. We went inside, locking doors against threats that no longer mattered, safe in the knowledge that we'd fought and won. Some wars end with surrender. This one ended with exposure, and that, I thought, was the most complete victory possible. 3 weeks after Troy's threatening phone call, Marcus contacted me. Got something you should see, he said. Coffee? We met at a diner near his house. He slid a manila folder across the table. What's this? Background check. On Troy. Thought you might want to know what you were really dealing with. I opened it. Police reports, credit records, employment history. The deeper story of Troy Renwick. He did this before, Marcus said quietly. Different woman, different state. 5 years ago. Married her, tried to access her family money, got caught, disappeared before charges stuck. I read the report carefully. The pattern was identical. Charm, manipulation, escalation, threats. Her family paid him off, Marcus continued. $20,000 to go away quietly. No charges filed, no public record, just money for silence. So he learned he could get away with it. Exactly, and tried again with Eden, except this time he picked the wrong family. I closed the folder. Where did you get this? Private investigator. Cost a bit, but worth it. Thought you should know what you stopped. He would have done this to someone else. Probably, now he can't. His reputation's gone. Everyone knows what he tried. He's unemployable in this state. I looked at the folder, at the evidence of a predator's history. Troy Renwick wasn't just entitled and greedy. He was practiced, methodical, a serial manipulator who'd refined his technique over multiple victims until he met a victim's father who fought back. Thanks for this, I said. Thank you for standing up. Too many people don't. We finished coffee, talked about other things, easier topics, but the folder stayed between us, a reminder of what evil looked like in an expensive suit. That evening, I showed Clara. She read it silently, face hardening with each page. Do we tell Eden? She asked. I don't know. Will it help her heal or make her feel worse? Both, probably. Clara closed the folder. But she deserves the truth, all of it, so she knows this wasn't about her. It was never about her. We told Eden the next day, sat her down with the report, and walked her through Troy's history. She took it better than expected. Quiet, thoughtful, processing. I wasn't his first victim, she said finally. No. But I was his last. Yes. Something shifted in her expression, the last residue of guilt or self-blame dissolving. Good, she said firmly. Then something positive came from this nightmare. Clara squeezed her hand. You stopped a predator. Most people never get that chance. We stopped him, as a family. As a family, I agreed. Eden stood, gathering the report. I'm keeping this. Reminder of what manipulation looks like, so I never fall for it again. She left the room straighter, stronger, healed in ways that only truth could accomplish. The following week brought unexpected news. Detective Henderson called. Wanted to update you, he said. We're charging Troy Renwick. Not for the poisoning, still can't prove that conclusively, but for attempted extortion, making threats, coercion. The recordings you provided were enough. What's he facing? 2 to 5 years if convicted. More importantly, a permanent record. He won't be able to do this to anyone else without serious scrutiny. Good. Your daughter will need to testify. About the financial pressures, the manipulation tactics. Will she do it? Ask her. He did. Eden agreed immediately. The trial happened 4 months later. I attended every day, sitting in the back, watching Troy try to explain away his own recorded words. He couldn't. His lawyer was competent but hamstrung by undeniable evidence. The jury deliberated 6 hours, came back with guilty verdicts on 3 counts. The judge sentenced him to 3 years, eligible for parole in 18 months. Troy didn't look at Eden during sentencing, didn't look at anyone, just stared at his hands while his future compressed into a prison cell and a criminal record. Outside the courthouse, Eden breathed deeply. It's really over, she said. It's over. I thought I'd feel differently, triumphant or vindicated or something. How do you feel? Tired and relieved, like I've been holding my breath for months and can finally exhale. Clara took her hand. That's good. That's healing. We walked to the car together. Media tried to intercept us. The story had gained local attention, wealthy family versus con artist husband. But we declined comment. This wasn't public entertainment. It was private justice. At home that evening, I poured whiskey and stood on the back deck again, my favorite thinking spot. Clara joined me, silent companion. You did it, she said eventually. We did it. No. You. You saw the threat first. You gathered evidence. You exposed him. You protected our family. This was you. I couldn't have done it without you. Maybe, but you would have tried. That's who you are. I sipped whiskey, feeling the burn, the comfort. I just didn't want to lose her. You didn't. She's stronger now because you gave her truth instead of comfortable lies. Harsh truth. Sometimes that's the only kind that matters. We stood together under infinite stars, feeling the weight of battle lift and drift away. Troy was in custody, Laurel was in exile, Eden was healing, the threat was neutralized, completely, permanently, finally. No regrets? Clara asked again. None, I said. He tried to destroy us. We destroyed him instead. That's fair. That's justice. Same thing, sometimes. She kissed my cheek. My warrior husband. Your tired husband. That too. We went inside. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but none of them would be Troy Renwick. That chapter was closed, sealed, archived in the past where it belonged. That night, I slept deeply for the first time in months. 6 months after Troy's sentencing, Eden asked an unexpected question. Do you think I can ever trust someone again? We were having lunch together, just the two of us, father-daughter time that had become sacred ritual. Of course, I said. Troy didn't break your ability to trust. He broke your trust in him specifically. It feels bigger than that. I know it does. But trust is like a muscle. It gets stronger with use. You just need to start small, build gradually. What if I choose wrong again? Then you'll survive again. You're a Kerrin. We survive everything. She smiled at that. The family motto. Better than most. Over the following months, I watched Eden rebuild. Not back to who she was. That girl was gone, replaced by someone wiser and warier. But forward, into someone new, someone stronger. She started dating again carefully. Brought people home to meet us, wanted our opinions, valued our insights. She'd learned that family wisdom, even when unwelcome, came from love. Clara and I vetted potential partners with subtle thoroughness. Not controlling, just observant. Asking the right questions, watching for red flags, trusting our daughter to make good choices. Mostly she did. One man lasted 3 months before Eden ended it. He was fine, she explained. Just fine. I want more than fine. Good, I said. Never settle for fine. Even if it means being alone longer. Especially then. Being alone is better than being with the wrong person. She hugged me. When did you get so wise? Around the time my daughter married a psychopath and I had to destroy him. She laughed, which was the point. Troy was becoming memory, anecdote, lesson learned. Not trauma, not defining moment, just history. Meanwhile, the business of life continued. I invested some of the $42 million carefully, donated some to causes that mattered, kept enough to ensure comfortable retirement. Clara and I traveled, Italy, Japan, Argentina, places we'd always planned to visit but never had time for. Eden joined us occasionally. Paris was her favorite. She wandered the Louvre for 6 hours, absorbing art, finding pieces of herself she'd lost during the Troy years. I forgot I loved museums, she said one evening over wine and cheese. He made you forget, Clara replied. That's what manipulators do, make you smaller so they seem bigger. I'm not smaller anymore. No, you're exactly the right size. 1 year after the confrontation at the banquet hall, Marcus called with news. Troy got out on parole. Thought you should know. Where is he? Different state. Oregon, I think. Probation there. Can't come back here without approval. But I figured you'd want the heads up. Thanks, I told Clara and Eden. They took it calmly. He won't come back, Eden said with certainty. He has nothing here except humiliation. He'll start over somewhere nobody knows his story. And do this to someone else? Clara asked. Maybe. But now he has a record. Background checks will flag him. He'll have a harder time. Not impossible, though. No, not impossible, but harder. We left it there. We'd done what we could. Stopped him in our sphere, protected our family, changed the trajectory of his future by making his past undeniable. That was enough. Life settled into new patterns. Eden got a job at an art gallery. Perfect fit for her interests and talents. She moved into her own apartment, tastefully decorated, completely hers. She was happy. Actually, genuinely happy. 2 years after the divorce, she brought someone to dinner. Andrew, 31, architect, quiet but engaged. He asked thoughtful questions, listened more than he talked, treated Eden with obvious respect and affection. After dinner, while Eden helped Clara with dishes, I sat with Andrew on the back deck. So, I said, you're dating my daughter. Yes, sir. What are your intentions? He smiled slightly. To make her happy, to support her goals, to be someone she can trust completely. That's a high bar. I know. She told me about her ex-husband, what he tried to do. I studied him. Did she? Yes. She wanted me to understand why she might seem guarded sometimes, why trust is hard for her. And that didn't scare you off? No. It made me respect her more. She survived something terrible and came through it stronger. That's remarkable. I decided I liked Andrew. If you hurt her, I said conversationally, I will destroy your life with the same methodical precision I used on Troy Renwick. Do you understand? Yes, sir. Are you afraid? A little, but mostly I'm grateful she has a father who protects her that fiercely. Everyone should. Definitely liked Andrew. They dated for 18 months before getting engaged. Small ceremony, family only. Clara cried happy tears. Eden glowed with uncomplicated joy. I walked her down the aisle, her second marriage, but her first real one. Gave her away to a man who'd earned the privilege. At the reception, Eden found me at the bar. Thank you, she said. For what? For saving me from Troy, for showing me what real love looks like, for being exactly who you are. Just being a father. The best one? She kissed my cheek and returned to her new husband, her new life, her hard-won happiness. Clara appeared beside me. Thinking. Just remembering. The bad times? And the good ones. Mostly good now. That's healing. That's surviving. She took my hand. 27 years of marriage, multiple crises, one destroyed enemy. We'd built something unbreakable. No regrets? She asked. The question had become ritual. None, I answered, meaning it completely. Troy tried to destroy us. We won instead. Everything that came after was earned. Everything, she agreed. We stood together, watching our daughter dance with her new husband, proof that happy endings existed for people brave enough to fight for them. Troy Renwick was somewhere in Oregon, living small, constrained by consequences. We were here, living large, freed by truth. The difference was justice, and that made everything worth it. 3 years into Eden's second marriage, she announced she was pregnant. Clara cried. I smiled so hard my face hurt. Andrew looked terrified and thrilled in equal measure. "You'll be grandparents," Eden said, laughing at our reactions. "We'll be amazing grandparents," Clara corrected. We were. When Lily arrived, 7 pounds, perfect, with Eden's eyes and Andrew's nose, I held her and felt something shift. New generation, new chance, new story untainted by old trauma. Eden was a natural mother, patient, loving, protective without being controlling. She'd learned from her own experiences what kind of parent to be. One afternoon, while Lily napped and Andrew worked, Eden and I sat on her apartment balcony. "Do you ever think about him?" she asked. I didn't need clarification. "Troy?" "Yeah. Sometimes, mostly hoping he learned something." "Do you think he did?" "Probably not. Men like Troy rarely change. They just get better at hiding." "That's depressing." "But realistic." I looked at her. "Does it matter?" "Not really. He's not part of my life anymore. Hasn't been for years. But sometimes I wonder if he knows what he lost." "You?" "Lily. Family. Actual love instead of manipulation. Real happiness instead of schemes and resentment." "He knows. That's why he'll never be happy, because he destroyed the best thing that could have happened to him." Eden considered that. "Good. Good? He tried to destroy us. Failed. Now he gets to live knowing we thrived without him. That's better revenge than anything legal." Smart daughter, wise daughter, healed daughter. Lily woke crying. Eden went to her, lifting her gently, all love and patience. I watched them together and felt complete. Later, driving home, I called Marcus. "Hey, haven't heard from you in a while." "Been enjoying retirement. You?" "Same. Wanted to thank you again. For everything." "We're square, Harlan. You'd have done the same." "Would I?" "You did do the same. Literally. That's why we're friends." "Fair point." "Eden had a baby," I said. "Congratulations. Boy or girl?" "Girl. Lily." "Beautiful name. How's Eden doing?" "Perfect. Happy. Completely healed." "Then you won. Completely." "We won. However you want to frame it. Point is, Troy Renwick tried to destroy your family and failed. That's victory." After we hung up, I sat in the driveway for a few minutes, thinking about winning and losing and the long game of consequences. Troy had wanted money and power, got prison and exile instead. I'd wanted family safe and whole, got exactly that, plus a granddaughter. The math wasn't complicated. Clara found me still sitting there 20 minutes later. "You okay?" "Very okay. Just thinking." "About?" "About how lucky we are. How close we came to losing everything. How we fought and won." "We did fight, viciously." "And won. Completely." She smiled. "Want to hold on to that feeling?" "Forever." "Then come inside. Dinner's ready." I followed her in, leaving the past in the driveway where it belonged. Inside was warmth, laughter, future. Outside was Troy Renwick's ghost, impotent and irrelevant. I knew which side of the door I preferred.